Hey everyone, welcome back to LoopIt Radio, where ideas meet innovation. I'm Sandra, and today's episode is one you can't afford to miss. We're diving deep into the mind-blowing future of Meta, straight from Mark Zuckerberg's vision himself. From holographic AR glasses to personalized AI companions, this conversation will open your eyes to how technology is reshaping human connection, creativity, and everyday life. So grab your headphones, sit back, and get ready. Because Ryan Johnson and Nikkie James are about to take you inside the future of Meta, where the line between the real and digital world disappears. Let's jump in.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we are looking at a company with just incredible reach. I mean, their products are used by nearly half the global population.
It's staggering, really, and that kind of scale gives them this, well, almost unique power to shape what's next, not just in tech, but, how we all interact.
Absolutely. So we're diving into the actual architecture, the blueprint for the future that Mark Zuckerberg and the teams at Meta are actively building right now.
Yeah, and it's a massive project. Honestly, there aren't many places with the resources or, frankly, the user base to even attempt something like this, pivoting whole tech paradigm.
So our mission today is to get past let's say, the general buzzwords, the metaverse hype.
Right, all the noise.
And really unpack the specific nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
What are the technological changes and what are the kind of social shifts they're aiming for with their billions of users?
Okay. And when you look at the source material, their planning documents, their internal talks, it boils down to a really focused vision. It seems to be built on two huge interconnected pillars.
Two pillars. Okay, what are they?
So the first one is this constant push for a deep feeling of presence, like really feeling there with other people digitally.
Delivered how? Through VR and mixed reality.
Exactly.
Right.
Using virtual and mixed reality to try and make digital interactions feel, well, almost the same as being physically in the room. It's kind of the holy grail for them in terms of connection.
Guts presence. Got it.
Yeah.
What's the second pillar?
The second one is equally big, the capability for truly personalized intelligence.
So AI, like really smart AI.
Yeah. Using their most advanced AI, specifically the llama models we hear about, to give you, the user, super customized help. Help that really understands your context wherever you are, whatever you're doing.
Personalized and contextual.
And these two things, the hardware enabling this deep social presence and the software providing this kind of ambient personal intelligence, they're totally linked in Meta's vision. You really can't separate them.
Okay, so to understand the whole picture, we need to start where they connect. Which is the hardware.
Precisely. The platform that makes both presence and intelligence possible. It all starts with the hardware.
Okay, hardware. If we look back, the sources kind of trace this clear line in computing history, right?
Yeah, definitely. So you start with those giant mainframes, only accessible to big organizations.
Then the PC revolution, putting computers on desks, democratizing it a bit.
Right. And then, obviously, the smartphone, mobile computing changed everything.
But that's where Meta makes a key argument, isn't it? They see the smartphone as flawed.
Yeah, fundamentally unnatural. That's the word they use. It makes us look down. It constantly pulls our attention away from, the actual world around us, the people we're with.
Okay, I get that criticism. But doesn't looking down also create a sort of private space? A boundary. If the next thing is always on, in your glasses, seeing and hearing everything, isn't that a huge privacy trade-off?
That's absolutely the core tension. Yeah, their argument is that the next step, the natural evolution, has to be more ubiquitous, more, natural, and critically, more social.
So tech that adds to your physical world, not distracts from it.
Exactly. Enhancing the here and now. They sort of frame privacy and setting boundaries as engineering problems to be solved, with user controls and policy, not as fundamental reasons not to do it. The bet is the social gain is worth managing the privacy risk.
Okay, that makes sense as their starting point. And it leads straight to the hardware they've poured, over 10 years of R&D into?
Yeah, these first full holographic augmented reality glasses, the prototypes, the ones people call the Tony Stark glasses.
Right, they look like normal glasses, but inside It's incredibly complex.
Oh, unbelievably so. The main struggle, the thing that's taken so much time, is just pure miniaturization.
Getting everything small enough.
Exactly. Trying to cram massive computing power, specialized batteries, good microphones, speakers, multiple cameras, eye tracking sensors, complex display systems, all of that into something that looks and feels pretty much like regular glasses. Maybe a bit heavier, but still wearable.
Let's dig into that display system a bit. Because it's not just a tiny screen in front of your eye, is it? It's more complicated. They use microprojectors and something called waveguides.
Right, waveguides. Okay, so think of the waveguide as the actual lens of the glasses. It's transparent, obviously, but etched onto its surface, or maybe inside it, is this network of incredibly tiny, precise patterns. Nano-etchings.
Nano-etching. Like microscopic grooves or something.
Kind of, yeah, like unbelievably tiny prisms or bumps. The microprojector shoots light into the edge of this lens. The light then bounces along inside the lens until it hits one of these nano-etchings.
And the etching redirects it.
Exactly. It kicks the light outwards, straight towards the user's eye, forming the hologram, the virtual image, that seems to float in the real world.
The precision needed for that must be insane, to make the image look stable and anchor to the world as you move your head.
It's mind-boggling, and you have two of them, one for each eye, that need to be perfectly synced. Specialized hardware just for that, to make the two holographic images line up perfectly in 3D space. Otherwise, it just looks wrong or makes you feel sick.
And on top of that, you need real-time eye tracking.
Yeah, absolutely critical. The system has to know precisely where you're looking at any given millisecond. Partly for rendering efficiency, you only need high detail where the eye is focused, but also for interaction.
And then there's the power issue. Running high-fidelity graphics or complex AI, that takes juice.
Too much for tiny glasses, batteries.
Way too much for the glasses alone, especially for the really heavy stuff. That's where the wrist-based neural interface comes in.
Wristband thing. So it's not just for control.
It's both. It's a high-bandwidth, discrete connection to offload the really heavy computing, solves power and heat problems in the glasses. But yes, it's also meant to be a primary way to interact, clicking, selecting, navigating, without having to, touch your face or wave your hands around, obviously. Okay, so the vision for what you do with these high-end holographic glasses is pretty transformative.
Oh, yeah. They talk about completely changing remote work. Imagine full-body holograms of your colleagues right there in your office space. Real collaboration, that feeling of presence.
Or education. Seeing a 3D model of a heart beating right in front of you.
Exactly. Science, entertainment, interacting with games like virtual ping pong or chess as if the pieces were really there. It's a fundamental shift in interaction.
But these high-end glasses, they're going to be expensive. And maybe not for everyone right away.
For sure. And Meta knows that. That's why they see the market segmenting. They're planning for 4 distinct product lines that will all exist at the same time. This isn't just steps on a ladder. It's a permanent landscape.
Okay, 4 lines. Let's break those down. What's the first one?
First, you've got the full headsets, like the Quest line we already know. They're sticking around. Why? Because fundamentally, you can just pack way more compute, bigger batteries, higher res screens into a headset than slim glasses.
So they offer the absolute best VR and mixed reality quality.
Exactly, the highest fidelity experience. And they plan to be aggressive on price here. Like the Quest 3S announced at, $299? That's aiming to undercut competitors significantly while offering high-quality market share grab.
Okay, headsets stay. Second category, that's the high-end goal, right?
That's the full holographic AR glasses, the premium tier, the Orion prototypes. These are the ones designed for that wide field of view, like 70 degrees.
Why is the wide field of view so crucial?
Because you need it for convincing life-sized holograms. If the field of view is too narrow, the holograms feel like they're viewed through a small window, which breaks the immersion. Wide fovea is key for feeling like the virtual stuff is truly in your world. So most expensive, most capable AR.
Got it. Then the third category, moving down.
That's the mid-tier, heads-up display glasses. Think a much smaller field of view here, maybe only 20 or 30 degrees.
So not for big holograms then. What's the use case?
Right, you're not getting a life-size virtual dinosaur in your living room with these. But they're potentially great for ambient information, quick bits of visual data.
Because we process visual info faster than sound.
Exactly. So seeing an instant AI response pop up in your vision, getting navigation directions overlaid directly onto the street, maybe seeing a text notification discreetly, stuff you can glance at faster than listening to an audio cue, possibly controlled via that wrist interface too.
Okay, makes sense. And the fourth final category, the entry point.
The displayless glasses, like the current Ray-Ban Metas. These are the most affordable because they ditch the complex, expensive display system altogether.
So no visuals at all. What's the point then?
The focus shifts entirely. It's about the form factor looking normal and, critically, AI interaction. They have cameras and microphones to capture context, what you're seeing and hearing, and you can talk to your personalized AI, and it talks back to you, maybe through tiny speakers or bone conduction.
No, so it's an AI interface first, camera second in a normal glasses package.
Pretty much. Capturing moments easily, but primarily interacting with that personalized intelligence layer we talked about earlier.
Okay, so it's a whole spectrum. Maximum immersion and compute on one end with headsets.
Right, and maximum social acceptability, lowest cost, AI-focused interaction on the other end with the displayless glasses.
And Meta's bet is that all four of these will find their niche and stick around for the long haul.
That seems to be the strategy, yeah. Different tools for different jobs and different budgets.
So this whole hardware lineup, the spectrum, it's all in service of that first pillar you mentioned, presence.
Exactly. That's the driving social goal behind the hardware push, achieving that deep, almost visceral sense of social presence, the feeling that you're actually physically with someone else, even if they're miles away.
Which current tech doesn't really do, right? Video calls are close, but not quite there.
Not in the way they mean. They talk about it as the holy grail for social apps, to get past the screen mediation and feel truly co-located.
If you think about how we've connected over time, telegrams were just text, delayed. Then the phone gave us voice instantly. Video calls added visuals.
Right. Holographic presence is positioned as the next logical leap, the emotional jump, being able to interact with someone, maybe a family member far away, and have it feel, real, like they're actually there in the room with you.
They used an example in the source material, didn't they? About playing a game.
Yeah, the Scrabble example. Being able to play a virtual board game with your grandmother who lives across the country, and it feels authentic. You see her reactions, you share glances, you feel that connection in a way a video call just doesn't capture. Losing to her feels real.
Okay, so that's the goal. But trying to perfectly mimic physical presence runs into some hard biological limits, doesn't it? Our brains are picky. They called it the limits of the ape brain.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
Our brains have evolved to interpret physical reality in very specific ways. And if the digital simulation gets things wrong, the illusion shatters instantly. There are hard limits.
What's the easiest one to fix? Eye contact.
Yeah, eye contact seems like the lowest hanging fruit. They expect to solve that relatively soon with clever camera tricks and rendering techniques, making it look like avatars are making natural eye contact, even if the cameras aren't perfectly placed.
But then you get into the physical senses, and it gets much harder. Like haptics, touch.
Oh yeah, haptics is tough. Simulating the feeling of touch, interaction, force, vibration. It's a huge challenge, and they're focusing mainly on the hands.
Why the hands specifically? Something about how our brain maps senses.
Exactly. It relates to the homunculus model. You know that weird diagram of a person with huge hands and lips?
Yeah, the sensory map guy.
Right. That shows how much brain processing power is dedicated to different body parts. And the hands are massively overrepresented. They're incredibly sensitive and crucial for how we interact with and understand the physical world. So if you want to create convincing physical interaction digitally, you have to start with getting the hands right. Maximum sensory bang for your buck.
We see basic haptics now, like controllers vibrating.
Sure, but they're aiming for much more nuance. There was that internal demo they mentioned, the ping pong game.
Right, tell me about that.
So you're holding a physical controller that represents the paddle. When the virtual ping pong ball hits your virtual paddle, the haptics in the controller don't just buzz. They simulate the feeling of the impact and, crucially, where on the paddle the ball hit.
So you feel if it hit the edge or the sweet spot.
Exactly. It gives you this spatial sense of impact, which apparently makes the game feel way more realistic and improves your ability to play. It's about subtle, informative feedback.
But even that, feeling a ball hit a paddle, it's miles away from really complex physical interaction, isn't it? Like simulating actual resistance, Force feedback.
Oh, force feedback is the really, really hard problem. Maybe the Mount Everest of haptics.
Why is it so difficult?
Because the device needs to exert actual physical resistance against your movement. Think about trying to push a virtual heavy box. The device needs to stop your hand. Or, the example I used, a virtual jiu-jitsu match.
Whoa, how would that even work?
That's the thing. How do you simulate the force of someone resisting your arm bar without anchoring your hand to a giant rounded robot arm? You need ways to create resistance seemingly out of thin air, maybe using gyroscopes, air pressure, exoskeletons. It's deep R&D territory, likely very far off for consumer tech.
Okay, so touch is hard, force feedback is harder. What about other senses? Smell.
Smell is fascinating. They acknowledged it's incredibly important for memory and emotion. It's super primal.
But putting it in glasses seems weird and maybe dangerous.
Exactly. How do you deliver scents accurately, quickly, and safely right near someone's nose? What about allergies? How do you clear one scent before delivering the next? It's just wildly impractical for a wearable device right now. So yeah, smell is seen as this distant, maybe impossible frontier for this kind of tech. It highlights that true 100% presence is still an illusion with big sensory gaps.
And that brings us back to the idea of the illusion itself. Presence isn't reality, it's a feeling, a sense of conviction. And anything done wrong can break it instantly.
Absolutely. Consistency is everything. If the field of view is too narrow and you keep seeing the black edges of the display when you turn your head, that breaks it.
Or latency. If you move your head and the virtual world lags behind even slightly.
Instant break. Your brain screams, "This isn't real." Physics matters too. The example given was someone playing that ping pong game, totally immersed, feeling convinced. They go to put the virtual paddle down on a virtual table, and instead of bouncing realistically, the paddle simulation maybe glitched and it shattered like glass. Boom, illusion, gone. Even though the action of putting it down showed immersion, the inconsistent reaction shattered the feeling.
But interestingly, people seem more forgiving about visual style than consistency, right? Like mixing realism and cartoons.
Yeah, that was a key insight. Users are surprisingly okay with mixed fidelity, more so than engineers might expect.
So you could have a super realistic, photorealistic avatar, a Kodak avatar they called it, walking around in a world that looks like a cartoon game.
And people accept it. Or the other way around. A really stylized, expressive avatar in a photorealistic scanned environment.
What's the key factor then, if it's not matching visual styles?
Authenticity of movement and mannerisms. As long as the avatar, no matter how it looks, moves and reacts in a way that feels true to the person it represents, people buy into it. Real-time expressive animation linked to the actual person trumps static photorealism.
Okay, so this massive technological push for presence, it's not happening in a vacuum, is it? There's a backdrop of some pretty concerning social data about loneliness and connection.
Yeah, the sources we looked at specifically cited research that seems to be a major motivator for this whole direction. The numbers are really quite stark.
Like what? What did the data show?
Well, for instance, the average American says they have fewer friends now than they did, say, 15 years ago. It points to this kind of quiet, creeping isolation.
And it's not just about number of friends, but actual time spent together.
Right. Actual in-person socializing time for American adults has dropped significantly, something like nearly 30% over the last 20 years. Less face-to-face time.
Wow, 30%. That's huge.
It is. But the figure for younger people was even more alarming. For 15 to 24-year-olds, that drop in in-person social time was closer to 70%.
70%. That's a collapse. The way young people socialize is fundamentally changed.
It really seems so. And maybe the most concerning stat, the percentage of Americans who say they have no close friends at all, that number apparently jumped from around 3% to 12% over the last 30 years.
Quadrupled, having zero close friends.
Yeah. So when you see society losing connection on that scale, it forces you to ask, what's technology's role? Is it the cause? Is it a symptom? Can it be part of the solution?
And this leads into Meta's core argument for why things like holographic presence are important. They call it digital edition, right?
Exactly. Digital edition.
But is that, a genuine attempt to help? Or just a good story to justify more screen time, more engagement on their platforms? The argument is, okay, you're lonely, so here's more digital stuff.
Well, their justification hinges on this idea of unmet demand. They argue people already don't have as much connection as they want. Maybe someone ideally wants 10 good friends, but life circumstances mean they only really connect with 2 or 3 regularly.
So digital presence isn't meant to replace the friends you see physically.
No, that's the claim. It's not about replacing time with your spouse or your local friends. It's about adding connection opportunities you otherwise wouldn't have. Like easily spending quality time with that sibling who lives across the country, or maintaining ties with friends who moved away. It's augmenting, not substituting, filling a gap that already exists.
And they also make a point about the timing, don't they? That this decline in connection started before smartphones and modern social media really took over.
Yeah, that's a crucial piece of their argument. They point to research showing that the big drops in social capital, community involvement, close friendships, a lot of that erosion predates the platforms we use today.
So things like people moving more often for work, longer working hours, changes in community structures, those were already happening.
Right. Those broader socioeconomic forces were driving isolation long before everyone had an iPhone or a Facebook account.
So the argument is, if modern tech didn't cause the main problem, then maybe it can be part of the solution.
That's the logic. If the isolation already exists due to these other factors, then using digital tools like advanced presence technology to help bridge those gaps is a valid, even necessary response. It's trying to add back some of the connection that modern life has stripped away.
Okay, let's pivot from presence to that second pillar, personalized intelligence. The AI side of things. This brings up some really deep questions, doesn't it? About where AI help is good and where it might actually be bad for us, like undermining important skills, the value of struggle.
Yeah, this is a really chewy philosophical area they grapple with. You can think about it on a spectrum.
Okay, what's on one end? The good end.
On one end, you have AI that clearly removes struggle in a way that just unlocks human potential. The classic example they use is the Star Trek Universal Translator.
Right. Instantly understanding any language.
Exactly. Does that mean people stop learning languages altogether? No. People still study Latin or ancient Greek for cultural depth, for the love of it. But the translator removes a massive barrier to communication, collaboration, travel. It's a clear win, removing struggle for massive gain.
Okay, that makes sense. What's on the other end of the spectrum? The risky end.
That's where the struggle itself might be the whole point, where overcoming the difficulty is how we actually learn and grow fundamentally.
Can you give an example of that?
Well, one powerful one they discussed is emotional articulation. Think about trying to explain how you feel, especially complex emotions. It can be hard to find the right words.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, imagine an AI that listens to you stumble, understands the underlying feeling, and instantly offers the perfect, eloquent way to phrase it.
That sounds helpful.
On the surface, maybe. But the argument is that the very act of struggling to identify, understand, and then articulate your own feelings is crucial for emotional intelligence, for self-awareness, for developing empathy. If the AI short-circuits the struggle every time, do we lose something important in our own development? Do we become less capable of understanding ourselves without the AI's help?
So it forces this question. Which skills, which intellectual muscles do we absolutely need to keep exercising ourselves, even when AI can do it for us?
Exactly. Foundational stuff. Take the calculator analogy. Calculators are everywhere. Does that mean we stop teaching basic math?
No, of course not.
Right? Because you still need basic numeracy. You need that feel for numbers, the ability to estimate, to quickly check if something makes sense, to follow quantitative arguments. You need the mental muscle memory for reasoning. Even if the calculator does the heavy computation, it's about confidence and rigorous thinking.
Okay, and that applies elsewhere too. Like coding. They mentioned that kids will soon just describe an app and AI will build it.
Yeah, that future seems likely. So why keep teaching coding?
Because it teaches a way of thinking.
Precisely. That's the argument. Learning to code, even basic coding, forces you to break down problems logically, define steps, handle errors, think systematically. It teaches a rigorous way of thinking that's valuable in almost any field, whether or not you ever write code professionally again. It's about structuring thought.
Okay, that makes sense. What about language learning, especially with those Ray-Ban glasses doing real-time translation in your ear? Doesn't that make learning Spanish functionally kind of pointless for just travel communication?
Functionally, for just ordering coffee or asking directions, maybe, yeah. The immediate practical need might decrease.
But there's still value beyond the functional.
Absolutely. Learning another language helps you understand the structure of your own language better. And crucially, it opens doors to understanding another culture's nuances, its history, its way of seeing the world, in a way translation alone can't fully capture. It's about cognitive benefit and cultural enrichment.
Time is limited, right? We have to choose what we learn.
That's the harsh reality the source acknowledges. Personalized AI removes functional barriers, which is great, but it forces us to be more intentional about why we're learning something. Is it purely for a practical outcome the AI can now handle? Or is it for the deeper intellectual or cultural growth that comes from the learning process itself, the struggle? We have to prioritize. Okay, so let's connect this powerful personalized AI back to Meta's core business, social media. The landscape there has already shifted quite a bit, hasn't it?
How so?
Well, think about feeds like Facebook or Instagram. It used to be mostly stuff from your actual friends and family. Now, for many people, at least half, maybe more, of what they see is content from professional creators, influencers, brands, pages they follow, people they don't personally know.
Right. It's become much more of a content consumption platform, less purely social connection.
Exactly. And generative AI is set to turbocharge that shift. It's going to create incredible new tools, both for regular people sharing with friends and for those professional creators.
Okay. How will it help regular users making funnier cat videos?
Kind of, yeah. Think about those glasses again, the ones capturing context. Maybe they're passively recording short clips throughout your day. And AI could automatically sift through that, find the most interesting or funny moments, edit them together, add effects, maybe even generate a custom meme based on something that happened. Stuff you might not have even realized you captured or thought to share. It lowers the barrier to creating engaging content.
Making personal sharing more polished, effortless.
Potentially, yeah. More interesting, funnier. And for the pros, the creators.
They'll get even more powerful tools, presumably.
Oh, definitely. Advanced AI editing suites, tools for generating visuals, scripts, music. The quality bar for professionally produced digital content is likely going to shoot way up. It'll be a content arms race.
But it's not just about tools for humans, is it? The AI itself might start creating content.
That's the next big step. You'll likely see content in your feed that is purely generated by an AI, tailored specifically for you.
Like what? AI news summaries, AI jokes.
Could be. Personalized news digests, AI-generated humor based on your tastes, maybe interactive stories or games created on the fly by the system, content made by the algorithm for the algorithm's user.
And then there's the idea of AI versions of creators, AI artifact.
Right. This tackles a fundamental problem for really popular creators. They have way more fans wanting interaction than they could ever possibly handle personally. Demand is almost infinite, but their time is very finite.
So they build an AI clone.
Sort of. It's framed as creating a piece of interactive digital art or maybe an interactive sculpture. The creator trains an AI persona. They feed it their past content, teach it their communication style, define what topics it can talk about, what its personality is, what its boundaries are.
And this AI persona can then interact with fans.
Exactly. It can handle the vast majority of fan interactions, answering common questions, engaging in conversation within its defined limits, providing that sense of connection with the creator's persona, but at massive scale. It allows the creator to be present with their community 24/7 without actually spending 24/7 doing it.
That raises big questions about authenticity, though. If I ask the AI creator something the real person never thought about, and the AI gives an answer, whose answer is it?
That's the philosophical knot. The source material leans towards it's an artifact, a digital object designed by the creator. Its authenticity comes from the creator's intent in setting it up, training it, defining its boundaries. But yeah, it fundamentally changes the relationship. It's not just person to person anymore. It's person to AI representation of a person.
All this change, AI tools, AI content, AI personas, it must be creating a lot of anxiety, especially for people whose jobs are in that creative space right now.
Absolutely. The source acknowledged that feeling is legitimate. When the ground shifts under your feet that quickly, it's natural to feel anxious about the future of your profession, your skills.
What's the advice given the inevitability of it?
Pretty consistent advice, actually. Don't try to fight the tide. Stay curious, lean in, learn the new tools, figure out how you can use them to do what you do better, or differently. The people who adapt and integrate these tools into their workflow are the ones likely to thrive. Trying to just hold on to the old ways probably isn't a winning strategy in the long run.
Okay, this idea of powerful AI tools and who gets to use them leads straight into a huge debate in the tech world right now.
Yeah.
Open source versus closed AI models. Can you just quickly define what open source means in this AI context, like with Meta's Llama models?
Sure. So open source AI generally means that the company releases key components of the AI model. Often the model's architecture, the trained weights or parameters, sometimes even the training code publicly.
So anyone can download it.
Essentially, yes, people can download it, study it, modify it, fine-tune it for their own specific purposes, and build new applications or even new models on top of that foundation.
And this represents a really fundamental disagreement between the big players about how AI should be developed and deployed.
Absolutely. It's a core philosophical split. On one side, you have what you could call the centralized view. Think Google with Gemini or OpenAI with ChatGPT. Their approach is largely focused on building one or a few incredibly powerful, highly capable models that they keep relatively closed and controlled. The idea is this model will be the main source of AI power.
Okay, the one model to rule them all approach.
Yeah.
And Meta's view.
Meta is championing the opposite, the distributed view. They believe the future won't be dominated by one giant AI, but will look more like the internet itself, a vast ecosystem of many different AI systems, large and small.
So specialized AI is for specific tasks.
Exactly. They envision every business having its own fine-tuned AI for customer service, every researcher having specialized models for their field, maybe even individuals having personalized models, a much more diverse landscape.
Where does AI safety fit into this? Because that's the really contentious part.
Right. The argument for the closed, centralized approach often emphasizes safety. The idea is these models are getting incredibly powerful. Keeping them closed allows the company to better control who uses them and how they're used, preventing bad actors from easily getting their hands on the most potent technology and misusing it for harm. Control equals safety in this view.
Okay. That makes intuitive sense. What's the counter-argument from the open source side? How can releasing powerful tech widely be safer?
The open source argument leans heavily on lessons learned from decades of software development, especially around security.
How so?
The historical precedent is that open source software often ends up being more secure and robust over time, precisely because it's open.
Because more people are looking at the code.
Exactly. Instead of just one company's internal security team reviewing the code, you potentially have thousands of independent researchers, developers, and security experts around the world examining it, testing it, trying to break it.
So flaws, bugs, security holes, even biases get found and flagged much faster.
That's the premise. More eyeballs make for shallower bugs. The open ecosystem allows for rapid identification and fixing of problems. Even if bad actors can initially see the flaws, the collective effort to fix them makes the whole system stronger and safer for everyone in the long run compared to potential vulnerabilities lingering undetected within a closed system.
So Meta's betting that transparency and community scrutiny ultimately lead to safer, better AI, despite the initial risks.
That seems to be their core bet, yeah.
Yeah.
They're arguing that the collective intelligence and vigilance of the open source community is a more effective path to safe and beneficial AI development globally than relying on centralized control by a few large companies.
So we've talked about this massive investment. The hardware, the push for presence, the personalized AI, the open source strategy. But all of this seems to hinge on one huge, maybe multi-billion-dollar question that's hanging over the entire field right now. What is it?
It's the question of scaling limits.
Yeah.
Specifically, how much further can the current dominant AI architecture, the transformer architecture that powers things like Llama, GPT, Gemini, actually scale up?
What do you mean by scale up? Just making them bigger?
Pretty much, using vastly more computing power, like hundreds of thousands of GPUs, feeding them enormously larger data sets, including AI-generated synthetic data, making the models themselves have trillions more parameters.
Yeah.
Just doing more, keep making them fundamentally smarter and more capable.
Because previous AI approaches eventually hit a wall, right?
Exactly. Throughout AI history, different techniques showed promise, got better with more data and compute, but then they plateaued. You'd hit a point where throwing more resources at them just didn't yield significant improvements in their core capabilities.
But These current transformer models, they haven't hit that wall yet.
Not obviously, no. They just keep getting better, sometimes in surprising ways as they scale up. The big high-stakes question is, will they ever hit a hard limit? Or can we keep scaling them for years to come and continue to see breakthroughs?
So what are the possible scenarios here?
Broadly, two main ones. Scenario A, the limit. In this scenario, maybe relatively soon, the current approach hits an asymptote. Performance gains flatten out, no matter how much more data or compute you add.
And if that happens,
Then progress in fundamental AI capabilities might slow down significantly. Researchers would need to go back to the drawing board, invent entirely new architectures, new approaches. It could mean a winter, or at least a cool spring for AI advancement while that foundational work happens.
okay, that's scenario A. What's scenario B?
Scenario B, continued scaling. This is the scenario Meta, and arguably others, are betting billions on with their infrastructure buildouts. It's the belief that just scaling up the current transformer-based systems, more GPUs, more data, bigger models, will continue to produce increasingly powerful and useful AI for a long time, maybe decades.
So no fundamental breakthrough needed soon. Just keep pushing the current paradigm.
Essentially, yes. The bet is that scaling is the path forward for the foreseeable future, leading to continuous, rapid improvement in AI capabilities that will power everything else they want to build the presence tech, the personalized intelligence. Their whole roadmap kind of depends on scenario B being true.
Wow. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've covered a lot. The hardware vision, from headsets down to displayless glasses.
Right, that whole spectrum aiming to make computing more natural.
We talked about the intense focus on achieving true social presence, trying to bridge the connection gap against that backdrop of rising isolation.
And the inherent limits there, haptics, force feedback, the ape-brain problem.
Then the second pillar, personalized intelligence, and the really tricky questions about the value of struggle, which skills we need to maintain ourselves even when AI can do them.
The calculator analogy coding, language learning, how AI forces us to reevaluate why we learn.
We touched on generative AI's impact on social media, the rise of AI creators or artifacts, and the open source versus closed debate regarding safety and innovation.
Yeah, and how it all currently hinges on that big scaling bet.
So the future Meta is working towards is one where tech kind of dissolves into the background, not a screen you hold, but this seamless layer of digital presence and personalized AI overlaid onto reality via glasses.
That seems to be the ultimate vision, yes. Ambient, contextual, intelligent, and hopefully more social.
Okay, but let's end with a thought for you, the listener. If this vision comes true, if we have personalized contextual AI living on our faces, seeing what we see, hearing what we hear, constantly helping us think, connect, create, what becomes the new scarcity in that world?
We talked about attention and privacy. Those are obvious ones. But think about that value of struggle point. If AI handles basic math, writes code, translates languages, maybe even helps us perfectly articulate our feelings, what happens to the skills that struggle built?
Is the new scarcity the ability to struggle productively? The capacity for deep, focused, unassisted thought? The resilience to work through something hard without an AI shortcut?
What's the next intellectual muscle you need to consciously start building right now to make sure you stay in the driver's seat of your own mind in that future?
Something to definitely ponder.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll explore the next frontier with you again soon.
That was truly inspiring. A glimpse into a world where technology brings people closer, not apart. Big thanks to Mark Zuckerberg for sharing his vision, and to Ryan and Nikki for steering such a fascinating discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to LoopIt Radio for more deep dives into the future of innovation, AI, and beyond. I'm Alex, signing off, and remember, the future isn't coming. It's already here.